Good morning, K-Run friends. Today is our last day of Inventions, and I thought I'd end with a fun one, and also in honor of Tomie. Oh, see, now I had it, and I didn't know.
Depaola.
Tomie Depaola. So I have this book called The Bubble Factory. Before I read it, and we have Miss Kathy's daughter Sophie blowing bubbles through it all, so enjoy that as well. But selling bubbles
there they go.
was 80 years ago, but bubbles were first shown in a soap commercial at this picture 134 years ago. So they've been around a while, but they weren't sold as toys until the 1940s. So enjoy The Bubble Factory. You find the first page. Sam and Molly were always getting into things, and Grandpa was always getting them out. You may have, oh, there it is, top. See, I'm going to be distracted now. And that's okay.
She's going to need to move closer.
Yes, so everyone can see.
Why are you going all the way over here?
Don't know. All right, here we go. So one day he handed the twins jars of bubbles to keep them out of trouble. Double bubbles, they were called, because with each wave of the double wand, out came not one, but 2 bubbles. Perfect for twins, Grandpa said, and made right here in the town at the Bubble Factory where I used to work. The Bubble Factory, the twins said at the same time. Would you take us there today? Ooh, that would be a fun place to go. So off they went. Before long, they turned down a winding road, and there it was. It looked like an ordinary factory, except for what was coming out of the chimney. Bubbles. Check that out. All the bubbles. Lots and lots of bouncy bubbles in every color you can imagine. Sam and Molly couldn't wait to go inside. Grandpa introduced them to Mr. B, the head bubble maker, who was just as round as a bubble himself.
Oh, how sad.
I'm going to show you, I know, right? I'm going to show you exactly how bubbles are made, Mr. B told the twins. The first stop was the great bubble machine, a maze of wheels and gears and levers and pulleys. That was a tough one on my tongue. Check it out. Machines look just like that. Jar after jar popped into a belt. Mechanical arms moved up and down, placing a wand in each one, and then filling and capping them. So cool. Next, they visited the bubble bathery. Here, new kinds of bubble bath was being tested in the big bathtubs by a bubble-o-meter. So the more bubbles, the higher the number. Down the hall was a bubble boutique with really fancy bubbles floating everywhere. Polka-dotted ones, striped ones, even bubbles with your name on them. That's pretty cool. In the bubble gummery next door, brand new bubble gum was being invented. Whistling bubble gum, non-popping bubble gum that did the chewing for you, mechanical heads that were test-blowing bubbles. One had pink goo all over its melted metal face. Can you find the one with the pink goo? His bubble popped. The last stop was the Bubble Lab. This was the place where the bubbles of the future were invented. Bubbles which had started out as only an idea in someone's head. Can we see them? The twins asked. Mr. B shook his head. Sorry, but it's too soon. They're not ready yet. You don't want to show your inventions just yet. Just then, a bubble worker came to get Mr. B. Mr. B, you're expected at the 11 o'clock bubble board meeting. Come with me, Mr. B said to Grandpa. Everyone will want to see you. Grandpa looked at the twins. If I go, will you two stay out of trouble? What do you think? Are they going to stay out of trouble? The twins nodded. So Mr. B led them out into the hallway, and they sat there on a bubble bench. Stay right here until I get back, Grandpa told them. I won't be long. Do you think they're going to stay there?
No.
Sam and Molly meant to do exactly what Grandpa said, but Mr. B had left the door to the bubble lab open. Uh-oh. So quicker than it takes a bubble to pop, they were inside again. Sam took one jar, Molly took another. They looked at each other. Let's try them, they said together, and went back to the bubble machine. At the bubble worker, all the bubble workers were at the meeting, so the bubble machine was turned off. I see the on button. There's off, there's on. Sam said. They both reached for it and pushed. The machine gave a giant blub. Now what do we do? Sam asked. Molly pointed to a large funnel. It says, pour here. The sign that on it said, pour here. So they did. A little from Sam's jar A and a little from Molly's jar B. At first, nothing happened, but Sam and Molly kept hoping. Then, suddenly, bubbles by the billions came whooshing out of the machine. I'd want to be there for that, for sure.
You've got lots of bubbles.
I know.
Mrs.
This is fun.
I know. It looks really cool on this, too, to be honest.
Let's see all their bubbles. Look what's happening to the bubbles, said Molly. Wow, said Sam. It's all of our wishes come true.
Oh, they have shapes.
That would be fun, to have shapes with the bubbles. Oh my goodness, look at all of them. What shapes do you see? Look, there's a musical instrument with music notes. Dinosaur. All kinds of shapes.
There's a person playing the musical thing.
Oh, there is. I didn't even look further. Nice. And they're skating. They have skates on. The twins could not believe their eyes. What did we do? Molly asked. I don't know, but let's do it again, Sam said. They were just about to pour in more from jar A and jar B when Grandpa and Mr. B came running in. What's going on here? Mr. B asked. We just saw a bubble rocket come out of the chimney. Sam and Molly looked at each other. I'm sorry, Molly said. We didn't mean to make such a mess, Sam nodded. I wish there were some way for us to clean it up. No sooner said than done. What do you think happened? Oh my goodness, bubbles popped everywhere. Turn the page. Out of the bubble machine came a cleanup squad of vacuum cleaners, brooms, dustpans, and mops. They all went to work.
Oh, yeah, we so need that.
I know. I love that invention.
Me too.
In a flash, everything was back as it had been before. Grandpa and Mr. B stood with their mouth opened. This is amazing, cried Mr. B. No one has ever made bubbles like this before. What did you do? Sam and Molly showed Mr. B the bottles. It's easy. All you do is put in some of jar A, some of jar B, and then your wishes come true. You've made wish bubbles, said Grandpa. We've been trying to do that for years, said Mr. B. We need you around here. Will you come back? Who knows what else you'll dream up? I love it. That was fine with Sam and Molly. When it was time to leave, they got in a big send-off and a ride home in Mr. B's Bubble Mobile. Check it out. It lets out bubbles when he drives. I want that car.
I'm trying to blow bubbles when there's like bubbles in
it. That night, after Grandpa kissed them each goodnight, they felt something under their pillows. Bubble jars with a note from Mr. B. Memo for Mr. B. Thank you for the wonderful wish bubbles and sweet dreams, Mr. B. So today, find some bubbles. Make some bubbles if you don't have any at home. You can use dish soap and water, I think, that would work. Probably not as good as these nice ones that Sophie's doing, but make some bubbles, have fun, and we'll have a good spring break.